morning, YouTube. We're back again. Shady's back. It's our left friend. What? You can tell it's been a little bit of time since I recorded one of these. What do I say? I don't know. I hope you're having a good day, good morning, whatever time it is for you right now. New YouTube vlog series. Are we going to finish this one? I don't know. The one before this was the winter bulk, I guess we called it. Let's talk about that first. We finished our bulk phase. I'll put a little before and after comparison. Pretty content with it. We managed to push up to a similar body weight as last bulk, but it was pretty clear from the photos that we're a little bit leaner. The overall look is a little bit better. So you can compare those things and ultimately know that you have made progress. That is one big takeaway for you. The easiest way to compare progress year to year or just any arbitrary length of time is look at yourself at a specific body weight and do you look better at that body weight, right? Because if you have grown muscle, it necessitates that you probably have less body fat, right? If that makes sense. If you're the same body weight, but you've built more muscle, that means that you should be leaner, right? Let's take a look, we'll see. What is this series gonna be? It is the 12-week for diet prep. Let's not call it prep, right? Because it's not prep, I'm not doing a show, not yet. But it is holiday preparation. I'm gonna go away the beginning of June. So we've got 12 weeks essentially to get as shreddy as I can. You're not gonna get very shredded in 12 weeks, but I can definitely get certified lean. I hope everyone at home is doing well. As always, this is something for, I guess, you to watch while you eat. If you're interested, maybe you'll learn a thing or two. And that's what I want to talk about in this first video is the process. Because I know that there will be a lot of people watching this right now that probably also have holidays or just want to be in better shape for the summer. So what is the process to getting lean, right? Eat less, move more. Video is over. That's all we need to talk about, really. So, no, obviously you need to eat less, move more. The question isn't what, the question is why, when, the rest of those words. How do you eat less, move more? Because that's what you should be doing, but you're struggling with bad habits around food. You're struggling with a lack of structure and a lack of routine that makes it more difficult. You're struggling with not having those habits already in place so that everything becomes a decision, everything becomes willpower to try and do the right thing. And maybe, even though you should eat less, move more, you're eating the wrong kind of things, which makes eating less even harder to do. Maybe you just don't have the education on how to actually take eat less, move more, and apply it to your current situation and your current life. So I'm gonna break down what I do, right? And then maybe elaborate a little bit more on what I might do with clients in different situations, and if that can assist you, right? If you're planning on going into a diet phase. The first thing you need to, if you're thinking about summer, you probably need to start pretty soon, right? My holiday's in June, 11 weeks away, which is what, 2.5, 3 months. And I would consider that to be a short diet phase, right? That's short. That's just someone who wants to get shredded. You can get leaner. It depends on your start point as well. Really depends on where you're starting. If you are in the unfortunate position where you are overweight right now, it's probably going to take even longer, right? But you can make vast improvement in 12 weeks, but I would say a 12-week phase is minimum length. We can make things happen in 8 weeks. Generally pretty good, especially if you've got a good starting point, but you need time. So if you're watching this video and you haven't started yet, then maybe you've got a holiday in that sort of July, August. Consider that you might want to start now if you haven't already. And so it's probably also likely that if you are moving into a fat loss phase, not necessarily, but you might have been in a muscle building off-season growth phase, right? And it's very easy. A lot of people will have developed not necessarily bad habits because you're just living like a normal person, but you're used to getting away with snacking quite a lot. That's what I've been doing recently. Until I started dieting was I'd finish shift at work and there'd be the leftover chips bowl, the leftover I'd be making desserts on fudge pieces, just fucking eating those things. Right, so you're probably used to being a little bit more loosey-goosey food, right? You're going to need to bring some discipline back in. You're going to need to reduce snacking, and that's the first thing that I did. Is what I've done, and what probably most people watching this are doing, is two very different things, but I've locked in because I want to try and basically produce the best result that I can in 12 weeks. You might not need to, but I've basically said no snacking at all, no off plan, nothing, right? You don't need to go to that extreme, But if you're doing a lot of that, you probably need to rein that in. Obviously, when I was growing as well, I'd have generally 1, sometimes 2 off plans a week, more rarely 2. Still sensible off plans, but they'd still be more than what would be on plan. That has now gone 2, right? Because I've got 12 weeks to get in as best shape as I can, which again, for your own knowledge, that is short. That's generally close to the minimum to produce change, right? And obviously that is so much easier said than done. I'm just stopping snacking. I'm just stopping eating shit food. It helps to have that deadline, right? More difficult when a client comes to me and there's no fixed deadline, right? Because there's no urgency, there's no pressure to get a result. It's kind of just chasing this goal off in the distance, this arbitrary thing. So it does help if you give yourself a bit of a deadline. It's not fixed, it's going to change, right? Unless it's a holiday, then you're probably not going to move your holiday around. But even if you don't have a specific event, I want you to give yourself a timeline. That is not fixed, it might change, because when you get there, you realize maybe you want to go a little bit further, or maybe if you're on top of your shit, you get there a little bit sooner than you thought. But yeah, it can help to have that. And for me, I know that I've only got to do it for only 12 weeks. And then I can, again, bring some fun back in, right? I mean, I'm going on holiday for a start, so. See, those are the biggest things that needed to change in terms of nutrition. I'm gonna show you in a little bit what I do in terms of preparing food, that organisation type thing. I'll also show you the changes that I'd initially made from, so for editing Jake, right, remember there's a Loom video coming up going over the changes and what we've done in terms of the plan, which that might actually help to have done that on here actually. Maybe I'll go do that right now. Hello and welcome to Jake in a Circle. Hello. Right, yeah, just really quickly, I guess, it's kind of a bit behind the scenes, right? So you can see my coaching sheets. Well, I say they're not my coaching sheets, these are the ones that I use with my coach, right? To give you a bit of an insight as to what tracking the progress looks like, right? And if this is for somebody, I mean, I think everybody should be doing more of this if they want like a good result, right? But this is what somebody who is essentially trying to get the best result that they can would look like, right? My coaches look a little bit different to this that I do with clients, which I will show at a different time. But yeah, we would have started dieting, would have been, yeah, so it would have been like the 11th of March, right? So we had a week where, can you believe it? Because I knew I was dieting, so the week before I diet, I just ate shit, right? So he called me a cunt, probably because I was being a cunt. It's 95. So coming into this week, we're already £3 down on average, and actually this morning we got our lowest at 189.8, which is good, from our highest of 197, which is cool. But in terms of nutrition, we did quite a aggressive, drastic pull at the beginning, right? Which is something that I probably wouldn't have done before, but it's something new that I basically some of my coaches have told us to do, because you would do your most aggressive pull, meaning you pull the most calories in the beginning, right? Which kind of it actually makes sense. How do we change our diet from our muscle growth to our dieting? We just pull carbs away, right? I've lost about, I think, 200 gram of carb here on a day, and I think about 200 gram of carb from a rest day as well. That was it. We just reduced carb portions, right? Everything else stayed exactly the same, right? Generally, staying body weights, all you want to be doing is changing your carbohydrate intake, right? So for your own thoughts, and obviously what we do here, macros won't be exact either, because we only track trace with my coach. I did the whole thing. I probably should move to doing trace because he told me to do that, and he's better than me. But he's quite low, just in case. Yeah, protein at the same body weight will not change, because we eat 2.2 per 2 kilogram or gram per pound of body weight, right? Or thereabouts. I'm slightly higher here, of 30 grams, right? So basically, your body weight dictates how much protein is coming in, right? Your fat intake is also dictated by your body weight, roughly 0.3 grams per pound of body weight. So yes, your body weight dictates how much protein you're eating, and your body weight dictates how many fats you're eating, right? So the carbohydrates are what we change to basically either put you in a surplus or a deficit, right? Does that make sense? Now that's optimal, right? Doesn't mean that necessarily everybody needs to or is going to like that amount. Some people might want a diet that is higher in fat. Some people might want a diet that is lower in protein, right? Maybe trying to eat optimal, and that's fine. I'm just saying that would be the gold standard of nutrition, right? A gram per pound of body weight in terms of protein, 0.3 grams of fat per pound of body weight, and then the carbs are what changes, right? And it keeps things very, very simple. That's all we've done. In terms of training, right now, nothing has changed. Training plan is exactly the same. It's how much volume we're doing per week. Not super high, also not super low. And that's pretty much it. That's literally all changed, right? And that's licit. What are we? From the highest weigh-in of 197.2 last week, we are already at 189.8, right? So if we're going to look at a day-to-day comparison, we're literally down 7.4 pounds just by subtracting carbs, right? Again, easier said than done. Let's get back to it. Yes, how am I actually feeling after making those changes? Is hunger there? A little bit. I would say more towards the end of the day. I don't really get hungry early. When I'm busy in the day, not so much. It's towards the end of an evening, especially if I'm on shift and I'm getting bored, right? Because that's something that a lot of people have experienced is, oh, I'm hungry. Are you hungry? Are you bored? Are you looking for stimulation from food, right? Because most of the time you're not hungry. And also, for God's sake, expect to be hungry in a dieting phase, please, right? Because so many people are, especially nowadays, right? Because we've got GLP-1s, e.g. Ozempic, Mounjaro. Are those GLP-1s? Good. I'm gonna seem very uneducated if they aren't. We also have things like peptides that are coming out Reta, right? If people are using enhanced things, I am not, so I don't know, right? Look everyone, I'm not on steroids because I don't know what they are. I don't know. I'm scared of needles. No, but seriously, as a disclaimer, I am natural. Don't you dare question it. Or actually, I'd really like it if you did question it because it's a massive compliment. But yeah, there are, I feel like, more things these days that we can use to regulate and control appetite. Is this good or bad? I ask a very simple question. Is it necessary? Right, every action that you're taking, especially one that could potentially, probably more time needs from studying it, but it could have some consequences. I would just ask the question, is it necessary? For you, is it necessary? Can you put up with the hunger? Is the risk of using this thing, does that outweigh the risks of you staying overweight, right? Consider these questions. Is it necessary for you? Because I think there are probably certain areas of the population, right? People can call them lazy, people can call them fat, people can call them whatever they want, right? Personally for me, if it's harm reduction, if you're gonna have a better quality of life for using that, fuck it, use it. But for most of you young bucks out there, people that are like me, that are young, that don't have barriers, probably do have the time, do have the energy, right, and you probably do. Do you need to be taking shortcuts that blunt appetite? Do you need to be doing any of these things? Probably not, right? So are you going to be hungrier? Yes. You are dieting. That is the cost of admission. Hunger is implicit in that process, right? So just understand that for me. Because yes, I get a little bit hungry towards the end of the day, and that does give me a little bit of a thinking, right? I read a book the other day, and it makes so much fucking sense that when you're dieting, the times of day that you're hungriest, right, generally the meal that you'll be having at that time, right, or the food, don't pull food away from that meal. Pull it away from a time of the day where you're not hungry. Right, so I'll probably communicate this with my coach, obviously, because he's the boss and I just do what he says. But it would make more sense to pull food away at a point of the day where you're not hungry, right? Because that little diet hack, little fucking chess move, right, in terms of dieting. Think about doing that, right? This is why us as coaches, we do what we do, because we're clever. Eat less food, put more weight on the bar, sleep 8 hours, 10,000 steps a day, no alcohol or less. Reduce junk. That's literally the entire training process. There you go. Don't need to pay me anything. That's yours for free, mate. Let me know how you get on. Ah, fuck. Ah, bastard. Right, what I do really touch on and show you is how do I prepare my food then for the week, right? Again, different people will probably benefit from and find it better to follow different methods. For me, I like to be really organised with my food. I like to do it all in one go, so I don't really have to think it's prepared. Meal prep, right? I like to meal prep, and I like to meal prep on a weekly basis, right? I food shop every 2 weeks because most of it gets frozen, and then I prep once a week. Food is all ready to go. Technically twice a week, but I'll explain in a minute. So very simply, once a week, get all my ingredients together and cook up what I call my main meals, right? Because generally if you are following a meal plan, there might be some things in that meal plan that can be thrown together a lot easier in a short space of time, like day to day, right? So I would say these are your ready to go meals. They're not quite ready to go, but it's basically the thing that isn't going to be that, what's the word I'm looking for? Something that you're not going to find a monumental task to put together every single day, right? These things don't necessarily need to be prepared. But my cooked meals have beef mince pasta for one, and the other one is chicken, rice and vegetables. This probably takes at least half an hour to about 20 minutes if you're really quick to cook the whole washing up, etc. To do all of that for one meal. Those things, the thing that's taking a little bit longer, where you have to get more things out, you might as well prepare all in one go. So then very simply, if I do it once a week, right, naturally, half of those meals for the next 3 days will last in the fridge, the other half won't. So I'll prepare, what would that be? I've got my training day food and my rest day food. So I'll prepare training day meals, rest day meals, and I'll stack those up in order as well, right? Just another little thing. I know that whichever food is, if that makes sense. So for example, here there would have been like meal stacked, right? So if I get to the fridge and this one's this day, I eat that. Then this is the day after, right? So half of the week's food goes in there, and then the other half goes in the freezer, right? And then that's it. Whoa, we're zooming in. Why are we zooming in? Holy shit. And then every day I just come and the food is already prepared, right? If I'm going to work, I will just stick the food in a little freezer cool bag with a little ice pack in there, which keeps the food good for a few hours. So then obviously I'll just put that in the work fridge once I'm actually at work. Put that in there, and Bob's your uncle, right? Never need to miss a meal. The other ones have a cream of rice and then my pre-workout meal as well. Oh, and also my breakfast, which I put in there, which is a pre-made omelette. These things I'll actually make twice a week, right? Because they don't keep quite so well frozen. And that means that all of my food is taken care of. I don't need to think, I don't need to do anything else. And it probably takes an hour and a half at one point in the week, and then probably the other thing, maybe 30 minutes twice a week. And most people will spend more than that in a couple of days of cooking, so it makes it easy. Okay, so that is the first half of the day, first of the morning, boxed off. We have left on the agenda before work, we've got 2.5 hours, 2 meals to get in. We also have, I want to do online food shop, potentially. We need to do midweek check-ins. We need to do, what else? Couple updates. One client needs a new meal on their plan. Another one needs some adjustments to training plan. And there's also a client's comparisons to do with their comparison images, and basically just compare, see how things looking of the last training phase. So yeah, I'm going to get into that real quick. I might record, oh my neck, I might record a couple bits, especially from the check-in actually. Let's record a couple bits from the check-in first, and yeah. Okay, good afternoon, my brother. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good Thursday thus far, almost in the afternoon. Let's get it. So, let's go through your check-in, bro, and review the week. Let's pull up your client sheets first and foremost. Giving some little bit of care to how the weight is moving. So, average for last week was 263. Let's use this because it's a little bit better. 263 average from last week. 266 average the week before, bro. Over £3 down in a week, which is sensational, brother. Right? Okay, what has led to this? Very, very simply, what we were talking about the week before, it is the weighing of your food and actually being on plan, bro. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you fucking call me crazy, right? Call me surprised, but things have gone really well, right? I was sushi for dinner. I spoke about that. 2 cream eggs, not the end of the world. I'll let you off. We had a Bella Italia here, which we woke up with lighter this morning, bro. So fucking bang on the money. This is making me very happy, and this is sensational as well. Look how much of a better week we've had doing things like this, right? Photo of evening plan, but obviously we don't need to do that because you're generally eating on plan. We could obviously put any off plans in here, but obviously snacking must have reduced. We're weighing our food now. Steps still a little bit lacking in the steps department. However, bro, I'd say like it's not even necessary to bring those up right now because again, like this is sensational. Then we can tell we're probably not the most confident, right? You're not yet in the physique that you want. We've been grafting away for these results for, you know, a little bit of time now, a lot of time now, and you know we've made progress. But it's still a long way to go, and I think even for yourself, bro, like we've kind of highlighted before, where you know there's certain points where obviously we know we could have done things better, we know we could have navigated things better, you know that we could have communicated a little bit more and got more out of things, right? So, and I can see what that thing, but also like in just the things that you said before, I think it's a lack of confidence, bro, and we need to change that. We need to basically improve that, right? In any way that we can. Obviously getting you into better shape is going to improve your confidence, right? But it doesn't necessarily fix it. I was reading a really interesting book, Psycho-Cybernetics, and it was basically talking about the fact that some people would have plastic surgery and they would fix what they deem to be issues with their face, right? And whether it was like they've got a wonky nose or they've got wrinkles or whatever, you know, they've got whatever it is, right? and they would fix these things that we're seeing as issues, right? Some people, after their face had been reconstructed, or like changed, or like, you know, gone through plastic surgery, some people would have a very huge increase and a big increase in their confidence, and it would change their mental space, right? They would feel more confident, they were more proactive, they were going and doing things. Other people had, you know, still things were changed and they were happy with the results of that procedure, but it didn't change their mental space, right? Because just changing the physical doesn't always lend itself, it's going to help, but it doesn't always lend itself to confidence as well. And I need you to have more confidence, bro. I need you to actually be a little bit more willing to push yourself out of your comfort zone, right? And what is up, YouTube? Fast forward a few days, it is now Sunday, the end of the week. So what does the usual Sunday look like? It's either content, well, it's changing a bit. I've changed the routine around a little bit. It could be content, it is today, but it's not always. This is where I get the short form content for Instagram, or sometimes we do podcasts, reels. Oh, in fact, let me show you this. The Tower of Cardboard. Why is there a Tower of Cardboard? I don't know, but we're going to deal with the Tower of Cardboard before we do anything else. But Sunday, I'm going to basically change it back to, what would I call it? The reset day? I'm going to call it a reset day. Today where I'm going to start doing meal prep. It's today where I'm going to start doing laundry. Because as much as it's not a day off, especially in terms of like coaching, I usually don't have a shift at my part-time job. So it's a good day that it is a day off where I can get everything ready for the week ahead, right? It's just always a good idea. Because once again, and I hope it's something that was pretty implicit in the things I was saying earlier in the week about the process, is that unfortunately, getting a good training result is as much about the exciting stuff like training, as it is about the more boring and mundane stuff like being organised with food, being organised with your time, being organised with your schedule. Yeah, it's fucking boring, right? But it's as Jocko Willing once said, discipline equals freedom. There's a cheesy way of saying, look, I get that doing and living this lifestyle, or at least taking some things from it and applying it for yourself, seems like you're being more robotic, seems like you're being more boring. But it's that very thing that is going to give you a better physique. It's going to give you better energy, which is therefore going to give you more time. Being organised is going to give you more time. It's going to leave you less stressed, which means, guess what? Your general enjoyment of life improves, and it pays back in different ways, and it allows you to actually enjoy the things that are important instead of being a slave to your addictions, which is junk food, scrolling, time slipping away. Because that's one thing that everyone might say that, oh, your lifestyle seems boring, and oh, you can't enjoy this and you can't enjoy that. But I was having this conversation with someone the other day, is that I actually think that if the thing that you enjoy, not that there's anything inherently wrong with this, this is something to think about. If the thing that you enjoy is actually an escape from the things that trouble you, e.g. stress, lack of purpose, sadness, anxiety, whatever it might be, if the things that you enjoy that make up who you are as a person, if those things are the things that give you an escape from those things, do you truly enjoy them? For example, I'm an anxious person and I can sometimes feel down, I can be pretty neurotic. However, training the thing that alleviates that definitely helps to do that. Is that the reason that I train? Partially, but the bigger reason is that I actually enjoy the training, and that gives me some satisfaction in many different ways. And I suppose that is true of copes and other addictions, like you do enjoy it in the time that it's taking place. But I don't know, maybe it's all addiction though, because you could argue that I'm addicted to the lifestyle that I am a part of. And I suppose actually conversely, you could argue that, well, I wouldn't want to give that up, so I'm also a slave to that. I don't know, maybe. I just dismantled my own argument in my own head, because I'm not actually sure. But that's my point, is like, do you truly enjoy a thing if all that thing is doing is giving you an escape from reality? Maybe it is, yeah. I don't know, but it's too deep for a YouTube video on fitness, so I'm fucking making a tea. And let's prep some food, man. Let's go prep some food. Why am I shadow boxing? I'm not a boxer. Far from it. I do this. This is what I do.